Naked chick.
All right, we're live.
Kind of just came up with this on the spot. This is kind of going to be like a, what do you think? Like a inquisitive power hour kind of thing?
Side segment.
Side segment, sure.
Sure. I like that.
All right. We were just kind of talking about how manhwas, as they're called, a lot of people refer to them as webtoons because that's where that's the server that they're posted on, essentially.
Right.
We're kind of talking about how it's going to change the world of manga and anime in the near future, just because, well, we have that Tower of God anime currently out right now. And then we have the next anime they announced called The God of High School.
God of High School, and that's also from a
Yes.
from a
webtoon.
That is actually one I'm very well versed in. I'm caught up in it. It's very interesting. But
And what did you say they're called? Manhwas?
their name of them is called manhwas, but most people usually call them webtoons just because that's who posts them. That's where the main server is. There are some other sites that post them, but
Right.
webtoon is like the main one.
Like the hub.
Yeah.
The hub.
So I was really just kind of talking about and asking, like, what are y'all's opinions on what do you think about the manhwas that are coming out? What do you think about them being turned into anime? Is it really going to be changing anything much at all with mangas and like how they produce it or anything, or is it just nothing's really going to come out?
Right.
It's just a trend.
I guess on that topic, feel free to jump in on the discussion.
Oh, please, honestly.
Twitter at Bowl of Men. So my thinking on this is I think it's gonna be bad and good at the same time.
Mhm.
Bad for manga artists, good for us, the consumer.
Mhm.
In that, like, the way I see it is kind of like capitalism, right? I think the market, so the base idea of capitalism, I mean, I might be wrong. This is just like I'm pulling this out of my ass.
Like, who cares though?
Yeah. I heard it that the idea of capitalism is that the market will govern itself, that
Mhm.
it'll balance itself out. We, the consumers, choose what we want to consume, and the market will adapt to that, right? It'll, raise
Supply
and
demand.
lower, supply and demand,
Yeah.
raise lower prices. So, but in this version, we aren't the consumers. In this version, it's the production studios, the
Mhm.
animation studios. I guess really production studios, because I think they choose who they want or what source material they're gonna adapt.
Yeah.
So what I think is gonna happen, I think Crunchyroll is definitely ahead of the curve.
Oh yeah, obviously
Yeah,
they picked up
they-
both of the manhwas that
they're
are coming
pretty
out
big,
right? Now.
right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Big manhwas. I think this is gonna it's gonna be a influx, like a surge of these animes that are being adapted from manhwa, right?
Mhm.
So it's going from, for example, numbers wise, it's maybe like a pool of 50
Mm-hmm.
manga, right? That they can adapt from. Okay. But once you introduce the manhwa, that 50 jumps to 150, for example, or we'll just call it 100. And so now these production studios, again, they get to choose what they consume, what they want to adapt. So say these 50 manga, there's some good and some bad. I don't know for sure. I mean, I imagine nobody makes manga that they want to or that they know is bad, and they're just putting it out just to put it out. That might be the case. I don't know.
Well, it could be more in the fact of like they see what methods work for whatever genre they're writing for, and so they use those same tropes, thinking that they're going to get the same
The same amount of like hype and like backing.
exactly.
Well, yeah. So it's almost like a stagnant pool of manga that these production companies have to choose from,
Mhm.
right? Not great for us because then we get flops, like these animes that are just waste of times. Like, what's the point? You're just wasting money. Give us something else.
12 episodes is just crap.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've all seen anime like that. That's just, it looks like it's something that's right up our alley, but it isn't. So that 50 now becomes 100, and the pool of manhwa, the webtoon, there's some spicy ones in there. Tower of God and freaking
Tower of God,
God of High School.
God of High School. And I think what makes it really interesting is that these manhwas, they already have their own sense of like art style and already their sense
Right.
of like
Yeah.
tone and
that they
development.
can pull off of. Like,
Exactly. That's why Tower of God has such a unique animation style, because
Yeah.
that's how they drew it for the
Yeah.
manhwa.
And
So-
didn't you also say that like Tower of God is like on top, like the top one on
So looking at
the
it right
webtoon?
looking at it right now, Tower of God is actually number 18 in the most popular right
Yeah,
now.
And that's
so
the
imagine
thing
that if
like and like like we're saying, if this becomes popular, not only could like they make Tower of God, like well obviously it's being made, but they could also make other ones that have been popular or like that are liked from
That
the
are even
community.
more
Yeah.
popular.
So it's like if they're starting, not that that's low, but if they're starting that low on like the pecking order,
Mm-hmm.
you know, imagine like what's to come. You
Yeah.
know, it's like I think if it really, I mean, they could flop. That's just the way it works.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't think they will. I think they'll get a good enough backing.
Mhm.
You know, like I said, Crunchyroll's on it. Like, you know, I think they definitely caught it on early. Like if they get to work fast and they pick more of these titles
easily.
up, I think they're going to be rolling in the dough. So these two that they chose, it's going to like open the door, right? And other production companies are going to be like, oh man, look at all this, like, look at how much money Crunchyroll made. Like, look at like the welcoming mat that the audience is rolling out for these manhwa. Like, let's jump on it. And so now they have a larger pool of better source material to choose from,
easily.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so what I mean when I say that means better for us is not only do we get like these like badass manhwa that get adapted, but I feel like that might make manga artists kind of step up their game and be like, okay, like
Instead
like,
of just kind of
Competition.
doing cookie cutter animes
Exactly.
of just seeing what works,
You know, it's like-
them trying to evolve and adapt
But
to the
wouldn't
more
that
situation.
be better now that like they're gonna try harder and
Yeah,
like
we're gonna
not
get
just put
Yeah.
out just
we're gonna
then
get
that's what I
more,
mean.
Exactly,
Like,
like,
it's
it's
better
just
for us,
gonna
the
be-
consumer.
It's just going to be beneficial for everybody.
we're
right?
gonna get
Because
more
high
60
quality.
frame Chica.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, obviously this isn't going to be like instant, you know, it's going to be a couple years because it's going to take time for, I mean, people to come up with original ideas and
Mhm.
write and complete mangas and people and production companies to pick up and then animate. You know, I don't know how, you know, extreme that'll be to where like manga artists, because again, that's all like artistic. You can't really like, I don't know if you can step up your game when it comes to art.
Probably not.
it's all in the style.
But regardless, we are going to get this like fat pool of manhwa with these webtoons that, you know, I think it's going to be great. Like it's going to be
Honestly, like looking through the list right here, I'm seeing some really good ones that are even, supposed on their popularity ranking, even better than Tower of God.
yeah.
And a
that'll-
lot of them I currently read, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine they're good because you wouldn't be reading them otherwise.
Amen to
Yeah.
that. Yeah, like, so the number one at the very top is called Lore Olympus. It's a romance one. I've actually never read it before, but it's essentially a story between, I believe it's it's Persephone. So basically, it's a story between Hades and Persephone.
Oh,
Yeah,
that could actually be kind of cool.
exactly.
Yeah. I
Um,
might have to read that. But sorry to interrupt. So Crunchyroll is picking these two up, right?
yes, Crunchyroll is picking up both of them. They're having studios produce them under them.
Yeah. Is Crunchyroll a Japanese?
No, Crunchyroll is an American-based company.
Really?
It was founded by a group of people from the University of California, Berkeley students.
Ooh.
hmm
And so is Crunchyroll, like, do they have their own animation studio or?
No, I feel like no. I'm pretty sure Crunchyroll is just the outsource. So basically, companies produce these animes, and then Crunchyroll produces it for them. Kind of like how PlayStation itself doesn't have any game studios, but they have other studios
Yeah.
under them. It's kind of like that.
Okay. And so these are Korean?
No, so most of these companies are actually Japanese based.
Really?
Yeah. So while the manhwas are Korean, the companies making them are actually Japanese.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
boy.
That's pretty cool. I
Yeah.
actually didn't know Crunchyroll was American. That's
Yeah,
pretty
no,
dope.
Mm.
It's like, yeah, the American company outsources to a Japanese company, and the Japanese company outsources to a Korean company. That's really cool. But yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I think for us, at the end of the day, we're gonna get great content.
Oh,
out of it,
obviously.
you know.
There's no doubt in that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I wonder how this just all rolls out.
Like
Yeah.
it could be the next step, and like animation had its like own run. Like anime had its own run for like how long has it been? Like 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's
Then,
like,
like,
the
wow.
next evolution
Then
of
like
it.
the future, the now is gonna be like now these webtoons are gonna have a chance to
Now,
rise up.
But at the same time, there's also a problem because as of right now, while they are gaining popularity, manhwa is still nowhere near close to how mangas are
Right.
treated right
Yeah.
now.
well, but I mean, I think that's also like the problem with it is that like anime was introduced to America,
Mhm.
and then anime comes from manga. So that's where you get that connection.
Mhm.
So until manhwa is introduced in the same way, it doesn't get that like exposure.
Mhm.
It's like I'm willing to bet that there's a good chunk of people who read mangas and don't even know what webtoons are. You
Oh
know?
yeah, definitely.
But then in that same light, there might be like purists, that are just like, no, this is what anime is supposed to look like. I don't like this art style. I don't
Mhm.
like it. That they might hate it because it's coming from a webtoon.
Yeah, like I saw the first episode of Tower of God, and I'm like, man, this is amazing, and this is from a webtoon,
Yeah.
and I'm like, man, this is like that's what captured me like the most. Like, I wouldn't really be paying attention to the story. I'd be like just more focused on the animation, like the detail. And, like I know JT really didn't like it, but I'm like,
Yeah.
man, I was like, this is good because it's something different.
Yeah.
Like I know there's other animes that are like different, but I'm like, I don't like the change as much from like what this was, from like Tower of God. I'm like, this is just really good.
Yeah. And so I'm saying, I think there's going to be a big chunk of people like you that are just like kind of tired of like the stagnant pool of anime that's been coming out, and they're looking for a change and they want something like that.
So I think the craziest thing about this is that the manhwa that they've chosen to make, those are ones basically basically have webtoon backing them, right?
Right.
There's a whole bunch on here that webtoon doesn't support. I mean, they support it by showing it, but they don't advertise it, because webtoon, for the animes that you see, for example, Tower of God and God of High School, webtoon has reached out to the creators and is monetarily supporting them.
Oh.
But there's even
that makes sense, because if those are the hot ones that's
Mhm.
bringing the foot traffic to their website, it only makes sense to keep supporting them so that
Yeah.
stays there to attract that foot traffic.
Exactly. But then there's even more so that people will just put up there just for the sake of having
Right.
it out there, and that you can even still read them. They don't, and the more that people read those ones that aren't being supported, it'll give them a better chance, because they have like webtoon has its own like rating of how you get supported by
that's
them.
awesome. That's
Mhm.
like those like community driven ones, like I think that's like the purest form of just like
Content.
oh no, what is it? Survival of the fittest.
Uh,
It's like if it's good, it deserves to be in the spotlight.
Mhm.
It's like, and so that's what I'm excited about, to get these like manhwa adapted anime. That's just like, oh, and that being said, you think like anime is gonna get a new term? Like, is it gonna be so like there's manga and manhwa? So
mhm.
is there gonna be anime and then like another term for these anime that are based off of?
Anime.
Oh,
Wow.
See, I
I
can't.
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Just because they are still being produced, at least for right now, they are still being produced by Japanese-based
Yeah.
companies,
Mm.
and so basically all anime is Japanese animation.
So
Well-
you think it's gonna get like entangled with like the rest of the animes? Like,
Well, because I've
from
seen
manga?
Chinese anime
Mhm.
like that, like that's a thing. So I mean, I guess if that's still, I mean,
I-
I don't know, because that was only like one.
I think
I don't know.
I think anime itself, there won't be any other term for it.
That's
It's
just
always going to
that,
be
like-
anime. It's the source material
like
that
this-
it comes from.
the subcategory then.
Yeah,
Like there's Japanese anime, Chinese anime.
Japanese cartoons.
exactly. So it's really just the source material that'll get the different names for it.
Huh.
All in all, it'll still be
Yeah, it's
anime.
still anime roped in as anime.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, these are exciting things to look forward to,
Mm.
knowing that it's not just that like behind the scenes there's like exciting things
There's
like that
always
happening.
stuff happening
Yeah.
right now.
But
I think that was a good quick episode.
yeah, man, just something, just a little quick like food for thought.
Mm.
Like y'all hit us up, let us know what y'all think.
Please,
Um,
yo, suggest more manhwa webtoons for me, because honestly, I'm honestly always looking to read some more.
And that being said, I mean, if you guys want suggestions on what y'all should read for manhwas, like maybe
Yo,
you're
hit
new to
me up. I'll
manhwa,
let you know.
hit JT up, like, he'll let you know.
Yeah, and if
Uh,
you haven't watched them, like go ahead, give them a try, see what you think of it.
Yeah,
Might
man,
as well.
definitely.
Yeah.
Give us your feedback. Let us know. Be a part of the discussion. Hit us up on Twitter at Bowl of Men. And if you're not a big social media person, hit us up on our email,
Mhm.
bowlofmen@gmail.com. Give us a shout. And
Take it easy, yo.
yeah, man.
This has been very